The theme for this week is leadership. I believe yesterday was leadership in the community, and today's session is achieving the mission, proficiency for all children. Now, we know, and you know already, that all of you in this room have the deep belief that every single student in every single school is capable and should achieve at a very high level. The question that we all ask ourselves, and what brings you here, is how do we get that done? And so the work today is actually to develop a language and a context and a framework for when you get back to your school and your community to actually get the adults in your building to take on that belief and to take on this mission of proficiency for all children. I have a personal Jeff Howard story. When I first came to New Leaders, I came from an environment of very low expectation. While my family had very high expectations for me, my community was surrounded by those that weren't expected to achieve. So for example, I grew up with a small group of friends, a band of brothers, so to speak, where almost every single one of them to this day is either incarcerated or has died. So going to college, graduating from college, I'd already surpassed so many expectations. Now I get into New Leaders, I'm going to be a principal, I'm going to go to schools, and I'm going to make sure every child achieves. And I sit down for Efficacy with Jeff Howard, and he goes through slides and he's talking. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I believe that. And at one point, my actual beliefs were challenged. And I've never felt so small, so broken down, and so confused in my life. In my adulthood, I may have cried maybe 4 or 5 times, and that man is responsible for one of them. And so at the end of the session, after going through what I had to go through to prepare myself for leadership, because that's what this is about. This is about you and all of us preparing ourselves to go back home and lead to accomplish this mission. I ran out of the building, ran after Jeff Howard. He's dragging this suitcase along, getting ready for a flight to somewhere. And I said, wait a minute, Dr. Howard, stop. You just threw my world upside down. God talked to you for 2 minutes. And I went on and on and on about my personal story and all the things I've done. And I said, is this really possible? Can this really happen? What's the first thing I should do? He looked at me tired after a full 3 days working with leaders, ready to get on the flight. He looked me dead in my eye and said, brother, just go back home and do the work. Just get in your school, work with those adults, and do everything in your power to make sure that people believe that every single child can achieve at a high level. And those words still sit with me today. They still sit with me today because I have to ask myself as a teacher, as an educator, as a former principal, and now as a coach, am I doing everything in my power to make sure that those that I come into contact with not only believe that every single student can achieve at a high level, but understand the practices and the behaviors that are needed in order to make sure that every single child can achieve at a high level.